She was the mother of the Bruce, wasn't she?
Oh.
Yeah.
And
I do love that from so I never looked back at it, but starting to work from home, it became very lonely and monogamous, and the kids were there, and it was difficult with the dog barking and things. So the kids had become of age where I thought I can change the career, and I saw the opportunity of the apprenticeship and went for it. And like you said, I just loved it.
Putty.
Oh, okay.
Putty elements.
I think you're It's been great meeting. Very talented. He deserves to play right now.
Okay, so just all this way, please.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey.
If you just push that, pull that down. There we go. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, nice,
keep
nice.
Going.
Oh, thank you very
There
much,
we go.
Johnny.
Happy
Is that
day.
it?
You make it
Yeah.
there we go.
Well, I haven't seen the recommendations yet of the pay review body, but my mum and dad were both primary school teachers. I know how hard teachers work, and that the last thing they want to do is to take this industrial action. That's why we are urging the government to get round the table with teachers and the unions that represent them to resolve this dispute in the interests of young people who are missing out. The government have refused to get round the table. That is why these strikes are continuing. And I recognise the huge challenge that families are under at the moment. That's why we've said that we would extend the windfall tax on the big profits that energy giants are making and use that to help people with their bills. That's also why we've said that there needs to be a fundamental review of universal credit. But you'll know as well that the economic inheritance of a Labour government is going to be dire. The Conservatives have caused carnage in the economy, and so everything in our manifesto will be fully costed and fully funded, and it means we might not be able to do everything we want to do as quickly as possible, but I do understand the pressure that families are under right now.
Look, I don't think it's the right approach, and what I hope this doesn't become is another constitutional fight rather than actually confronting the issues of drug deaths that we have here in Scotland. We have the same drugs laws as the rest of the UK, but we still have 3 times the number of drugs deaths, and that's because there's been a failure to invest in services, there's been a failure to invest in both our NHS services, our social care services, but also drug and rehabilitation services, and that's what the Scottish Government should be relentlessly focusing on, not looking for constitutional fights. The other thing I'd say is they need to engage properly with those that are both the victims of drugs, but also communities that are blighted by drugs as well, and I'm not sure the approach they're setting out today is going to help resolve those issues. We've already said we would support safe consumption rooms in the right circumstances, but actually that in itself is not an answer to the drug death crisis. Unless we can get proper investment in alcohol and drug partnerships, unless we can get proper support services, for example around NHS care, specifically mental health care, and also confront the issues that link both suicide rates and drugs rates across the country, we are not going to see a holistic approach. And what again I think this is the Scottish Government looking for a constitutional fight rather than actually confronting the issues. I don't think this is the right approach. I don't think it understands the impact that drugs has on individual users or understands the communities that are blighted by drugs. We've got to be realistic about the circumstances we're currently in. The 2-child limit is the wrong policy. It is opposed by the Labour Party. We opposed it at the time when it was introduced. We continue to believe it's a heinous policy that impacts negatively on families across the country. But if we have the privilege of being the government come the next general election, the Tories are going to leave us economic carnage. And in the face of that economic carnage, we can't unpick everything straight away. We will have job work to do to reform our benefit system, of course, but also to rebuild our economy and reform our public services, and we're really looking to them. What I'd say is Monica has spoken out, and I think she's right to be concerned about the 2-child policy because it is impacting negatively on families across the country. I think we're right to say that it's a horrible Conservative Party policy, and one that, of course, needs to be addressed, and that's why we need reform. But at the same time, we've got to accept that we are going to inherit economic carnage because of the economic illiteracy and the moral bankruptcy of the Conservative Party. In terms of the wider issues you mentioned there, I would say, look, point to me to one place in Scotland where that kind of thing is happening. It's not happening. We have a unified Labour Party here in Scotland working together to get rid of an economically illiterate Tory government, but also an incompetent SNP government.